everybody, my name's Cara on Fire, and today we are checking out the juicy highlights from Funcom's recent Dune Awakening stream, which covered building, the endgame Landsraad system, the exchange, and much more. The stream started off with a neat cinematic covering the dangers of sandstorms.
Exposure to the raw, unbridled elements is death.
When sandstorms occur, you need to keep you and your vehicles safe within shelter, and your base needs to be powered by a generator to activate the shields. Otherwise, you'll end up as toasty as this storm-torn sand bike. To further customize your base, you can align with Harkonnen or Atreides for a unique building set. This one is Atreides.
Atreides. Woo!
It's stunning with a noble style. It uses an emerald green and smooth stone appearance to stand out. This one is Harkonnen. It uses an inky, futuristic sci-fi aesthetic. A lot of bevels and curves. We get a really close look at the Groundcar buggy and some of the shaders and skins you get within the game, as well as special modules to attach to it. Mid into the building section of the stream, we got to see this in action with the mining laser attachment, which turns your ground car into a farming machine. It's optimally used with two people, one manning the steering wheel and one on the mining turret, but it can be used by one person as you can switch between the seats in the car. Once in the turret, aim and fire at the boulders to collect resources in a big way. They said this method of getting resources is really efficient, and that the vehicles can carry a great amount within them, which makes them ideal when moving bases as well. Back to the cinematic, you can see them utilizing a parking garage for their ground car, as that can be damaged by the sandstorm too. I love the special projection door. The Solido projection tool has been shown off as well. You can actually share your base layout with people in Dune Awakening. Scan the base and you can sell the base blueprint to other players. This opens a huge door for builders and really creative individuals. There was a gameplay segment in the stream where they built a small base. You start out claiming a base zone with your sub-thief. The red boxes are the no-build zones. You can expand your base perimeter. The first sub-thief is pretty small and is mainly used for bob boxes in the beginning. Later on, you can get an advanced sub-thief which you need to pay taxes on using the in-game currency called Solari. You can expand it even further, 6 times for a bigger land claim, with a staking unit, which takes time to deploy, and place a total of 3 sub-thieves per player. You can add other players to the permissions on your sub-thieves, make it a respawn point, fuel all your generators with one click of a button as long as you have the materials in a chest. You can also see the details on this, like tax and how long your power will last and keep your shields up. And there does seem to be a storage option for putting some basic stuff inside as well. There were 4 building sets shown off on the stream: the Chome Shelter, the Chome Facility, Atreides, and Harkonnen. The higher tier of building sets, the more unique pieces available to place. There are triangles, circles, squares to play around with for base shapes. Demolishing building pieces returns 100% of the costs. The developers want the building system to be balanced and to encourage those that enjoy building by not punishing them with expensive building part costs, which is kind of a relief for me coming from Conan Exiles, which has a very elaborate amount of building costs for building pieces. As you progress in the game, you'll need a decent base space to house your crafting stations. The later on you progress, the bigger the stations seem to get. They gave us a couple base tours in different sets as well, like the smaller scale one in Atreides building set. They were really excited about the eagle doorways on this one. There was also a mixed Chome Shelter versus Chome Facility base. It gives me coffee house type vibes. I didn't know they were serving up cappuccinos on Arrakis. Maybe that's why Shai Halud's so angry. No morning coffee. Inside were some charm decorations, including tables, chairs, bookshelves, benches, beds, and all sorts. We got a small view of one of the suspenser belts. It lets you fly up quite a bit. Flying over in a swatched ornithopter, we get our first view of different parts of Arrakis. It looks really open sandy over here, which I imagine is extremely risky with the sandworm being a thing. I don't fancy driving across here in a sand bike. This area is called Mysa Tarill. Flying over, they head to the shield wall and mention it's next to a place called the Oodaham. They are showing off the maximum sized atreides base here, utilizing all 6 land claims. You seem to be able to build quite the reasonable sized structures in here. There's also some special assault green ornithopters, a mega fabricator, and a decked out room using the atreides set and the Caladan building set you get from the season pass. I don't know about you, but I'm in love with this. The harkokken base is up next, and what is this? I mean, it looks epic as hell, but I can't stop myself from seeing the base giving birth. Help, I can't unsee it. Inside, we see a massive spice refiner, the harkonnen structures and decorations, such as a bedroom, lamps, a massive dining area, and a really epic carpet that I really would love. There's also a harkonnen ornithopter that looks like a proper dragonfly. We also get a big view of the massive harkonnen base, which looks incredible. Lots of rounded shapes. I also noticed we were in a different biome area. Cacti are in Arrakis. Look at the size of that one. In the stream, there was a base building competition vote with the promise of more in the future, which is super cool. This was for the beta players. Here's the submissions. I thought it was really sweet seeing all the styles. The honorable mentions were pretty fire as well. I love the scorpion one and the public toilet. This next segment was with Leah and Niels. They spoke about the lore and story within Arrakis. I don't feel like I can do the entire 20-minute segment justice, so I'd recommend watching this part from the stream, which is linked in the description down below. That being said though, I will give you a few bullet points. They go over their version of the Dune universe within this game, where Jessica chose to bear a daughter instead of a son, where the Battle of Arrakis didn't happen and the traitors were exposed. Instead, you enter this war-filled planet. The War of Assassins has been raging on for 10 years between Atreides and the Harkonnen, which you have to pick a side, or you can choose to betray a side, but I believe this only happens once. You can meet characters from Dune, like the ones you've seen from the movies, like a certain Duncan, Idaho. For an idea of the story, this next part will be their extended trailer.
The only peace I find is a future that never happened. One where I, Paul Atreides, was never born. I created the future until it created me. But I see a narrow way, a path that might have been. What if my mother had obeyed her orders and given birth to a girl? Everything would change. Dr. Yue exposed before his betrayal. A world where my father lives. House Atreides surviving the Battle of Arrakis. Sardaukar deployed to protect the spice melange. A war of assassins spreading across the planet. Fremen exterminated. No Muad'Dib. No Lisan al-Gaib. No Kwisatz Haderach. All of my visions lead to horror. Except for this one. This one leads to you.
For this next segment, we have an interview with Joel and Amar. Oh, sorry, not Joel.
You want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure.
For those of you who don't know him.
This week, my name is Al Gaib.
Okay, there you go.
And yeah.
Or since this stream, the brand new WikiFeet head highliner. Best of luck, Natasha. In this segment, the exchange is explained, being the in-game trading system. This is where you can sell items, schematics, equipment, or even building blueprints for the entire world. Which isn't just your server, by the way, which they refer to as sietches. Many sietches are connected to one world, so you can cross-server trade with loads of players. The exchange can only be found in the social hubs. They hope that this will encourage you to visit there more often, and that the social hubs is a place to meet with other players. Now we move on to the Landsraad, which Joel has a quick explanation what that is about.
The Landsraad is the High Council that deals with the Emperor in the books, right? It's kind of this political body. They have some influence on the policies of the Imperium. It's described as a political tripod with the Emperor and the Landsraad and the Spacing Guild. This is, but in our game, yes, the Landsraad have the ability to create decrees that then impact the entirety of Arrakis and affect the ongoing war. And the way that we've designed this system is that player factions, the Atreides and Harkonnen, are attempting to get votes in the Landsraad so that they can impact the overall structure of this. And so the idea here is just to really create and it is an endgame activity driver is what I call it, right? It's a way of creating a system where people are asked to do activities to help their faction earn votes in the Landsraad.
So for the Landsraad, you need to do tasks for the different houses of Arrakis. There are 25 houses. The houses need to be convinced to tell you what they want. Having a different background like the ones you picked in character creation can affect this. This all contributes to the Landsraad board, where you can see all the houses' names up on there. Atreides team and the Harkonnen team are battling against each other to win over the houses each week. The more spaces claimed on the board, the more likely you are to win. Whoever wins gets a choice of decree. I'll read some of these perks out as it was flicking through them. Access to the Landsraad tool vendor. The Landsraad vendors give the most powerful items in the entire game. Repair costs and refining times are reduced by 75%. All items are dropped and can be looted by anyone when defeated in the deep desert. Access to a Landsraad armor vendor. Crafting costs are reduced by 25%. Melee weapon damage increased by 33%. So, as you can see, you really do want to be the winning faction of the week, as the perks are insane. Guild leaders can use voting power to vote on the guild's chosen decree that they want. Even if you didn't win, you will get something. Now we are moving into the Q&A section. I tend to let these play out and cut out the chatter in between, so enjoy.
Will it be possible to mix and match the build sets of both Atreides and Harkonnens, or are we restricted to only one?
Thank you for the crisp knife of speech.
The crisp knife of answering questions.
Yes. Questions.
So, yes, you can, but it'll be a bit easier to get the first one of those, and then you'll have to do a bit more work in order to secure both.
Jump through some hoops, because no one likes to be betrayed.
But you can build with both together.
Yes,
The pieces are standardized, so they will work together for the most part.
Subdacius is asking, will there be faction-specific chat so you can coordinate Landsraad strategies without giving away secrets to the enemy? Good question.
Well, there is no faction-specific chat, but we do have a guild chat, so you can coordinate on a guild level, and that should be helpful to coordinate these type of activities. And it should be possible to also use the area-based chat we have in the region to coordinate with other players nearby to set up some scheming.
Can certain base equipment be turned off from power drain when you're away from the game to preserve the power drain?
So the way this works is that you need to have a higher level of production than your current use, right? And that allows your shield to stay up. So what you can do is turn off some machines to lower your use, and then you can also turn off some generators to not spend as much energy, right? but there's still a limit to how much fuel you can have stored in the generators, right? So it's not indefinite, but it does make it a lot cheaper for it to last longer.
One fuel cell lasts 1 hour in a base generator. So it's very easy to have enough fuel to figure out how many hours you have left based on like how much fuel do you have.
I think the subfief even tells you now as well.
Yeah,
like you see how much days.
And everything. Yeah, for sure.
I would love to know what kind of system is in place to prevent making this always one side winning.
Sure.
We didn't expect that question at all.
Maybe. We have a couple of systems, one of which I'm definitely not going to talk about because I don't think I should.
No.
And because also then I know people will start trying to game it, and I really dislike it when people do that. So I'll not talk about that one.
The little devil on your shoulder just telling you.
However, there is a new faction that we will add to the game sometime during post-launch, and that faction's job will be to make sure that the Landsraad remains balanced. And there'll be a whole set of different mechanics coming into the game around that third faction. And that's all I'm going to say for now. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's not such a, I think, onerous task for people to be able to keep this fairly even if the population dips in a particular direction, right? If you end up with a lot more harkonnen, then you end up with a lot more atreides on the same world. Shouldn't be the case, but if that happens, it's still completely possible for the atreides to participate and make changes in the Landsraad. So it should work out.
How often do you have to pay tax?
Yep, so the way this works is that you'll need to pay tax every 2 weeks. That's a cycle. And to expand on that a little bit more, then if you don't pay the tax at that point, then your taxes will be overdue, but your base yields won't actually be turned off until you forget to pay for another week after that. So you have quite a bit, or another 2 weeks after that. So you have quite a bit of time to pay.
If someone buys my blueprint, is it a one-time sell and I'll have to list it again?
Yes. So one tool is one use. So you'll have to create the replication process again, right? And then you'll be able to sell it. So this way we ensure that once you've sold your design, it's not out there forever. So you can continuously supply it.
Yeah, it's a consumable, essentially, right? So you sell the blueprint. We're talking about base blueprints, I'm assuming, rather than schematics.
I think so
for
too. Yeah.
So if you sell your base blueprint, people can consume it once, and that's it.
What is the maximum number of bases you can have?
3. So you have different types of sub-fief consoles, right? And you have the basic sub-fief console, you have the advanced sub-fief console, and together, however you split that up, you have a cap of 3 that you can own. You can then have a permission to access any number of other sub-fief consoles or bases, right? But that's just what you are restricted to. And then we also have a further restriction on the number of basic sub-fief consoles at 2.
Can a guild be a party of one individual or at least 2 players? Good question.
Yeah, there's no minimum requirement there, so that works fine.
Yes, and it enables you to be part of the Landsraad if you want to do that as a single player. If I'm building vertically on a cliffside, will the cliff work as a wall and keep sandstorm damage out, or I need to add another wall along the cliff to close off the structure? That's a good question too.
So for that one, yes, you will need to add another wall. And it depends on certain complicated factors depending on the distance to this opening and how close you are to the other surrounding walls and roofs. But in essence, yes, to be safe, you need to do that. And the reason we're doing it this way is to make sure that bases and their contents eventually do decay away if they are in fact abandoned, right? So we don't have bases staying around permanently.
How do you set access level towards strangers to your building?
Yeah, so if it's if the question is if you can give access to someone you know, then you can search for their name and add them that way. And you can also interact with their character in the world, give them access that way. If you have them on your friends list already, imported through Steam, for example, then you can also go through the social system menus we have and edit permissions for someone in bulk. Now, it could also be that the question is if you want to make your base or parts of your base public, right?
I think that was the question. Yeah, exactly.
And what you can do then is go to individual objects on the base, like doors or machines and whatnot, and lower its access level requirement to public. And then anyone will be able to access it.
Michael is asking, can you move the whole base or you need to build it all over again?
You can copy the design to a Solido replicator, right? And then you don't have to come up with something new on the new location, but yeah, you do need to build it again at the new location and carry whatever items you want at that place manually. To help you with that, you have vehicles as well, right? And vehicles can have quite sizable storage.
Can you link friends' bases together?
Well, you can place bases pretty close together. You can't actually link them together, right? I think one way you could do something...
Permissions, maybe? No, you couldn't cross the border, but you can still make permissions. So
yeah, you can have them next to each other and have permissions to cross into the one another. Now, what you could probably do, if you really wanted to have separate buildings, is to expand your land and then build 2 separate buildings. That might work.
Also, you could have because you can't put them so close next to each other, you can just have doors that are so close that you can just go from one to the other. That's not
otherwise
working.
We'd be in the griefing territory. We have to, because otherwise people could surround your land claim, right? So we have to give people a little space to
We have a buffer zone.
That's why they're designers and I'm not.
Sadly, we have these lovely people on the beta who build really nice things for other players, and then occasionally we see people in the beta doing things that are quite nasty. And then but the good thing about betas is we then get to make design allowances for these kind of behaviors, which is great.
We will learn and make sure that it's a bit harder to do. Can you build into rock, like make a cave and an underground base?
Yeah, so what you can do is, there are some formations where this makes sense, right? So you can build around a cave entrance or underneath a large overhang, things like that, right? And you also have quite a lot of allowance for building so that your walls stick into rock and things like that, right? So,
but yeah, we don't allow you, like most of the cave spaces in the world are actually spaces where NPCs live, right? And so you can't build over the top of NPC camps.
Yeah, there are very few where it's actually caves that you can do that.
Yes.
So.
She's asking, is there a solution for gamers who go on vacation and don't want to lose their entire base home but don't have access to the game? I think that goes into the question that we had earlier, but we can go over that.
We mentioned it, right? Like you can basically have fuel for around, I think you can have basically 3 weeks, then it's a week before everything will sort of start to decay. Yeah. So you have about a month, but like I think that's about the limit we can do. Yeah. Right? Because with taxation as well, it's around a month. Should I? Or is it like an intimate story of me and the players in the beta?
It's just, in the beta, we had an improvised, let's call it improvised voice line that was not finalized. And
it was very well acted.
Very well acted.
And it
was an Atreides, right?
It was an Atreides exhorting her men to do better. And come on, Atreides. Atreides. Awoo!
Atreides!
Awoo!
Awoo!
It was
inspiring, right?
It was inspiring.
Super inspiring.
And
super
it became a meme. And now it's like an inside joke.
Very high energy too. Like you just.
Anyways, that's all I got time for today. That's the whole wrap. If you enjoyed this video, smash a like on it. It would mean a million to me. And subscribe for more Dune Awakening coverage. If you'd like the game, consider using my link in the description down below. But either way, that's it from me today. Thank you for watching. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.